Okay, so as I mentioned, this evening is the anniversary of Mettika's passing, and good opportunity to come together and just to remember and to dedicate blessings for Mettika's well-being, and so that a few of us from Abhayagiri came over and spend the night and join you all for the Monday, regular Monday gathering. That sense of what do you do when somebody dies, and what are the one of the things in Buddhism that we're not great at doing is grieving. I mean, in the sense of making, it's not that you don't that there isn't any grief, but it's not there's not a huge value in great displays of grief and sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair is considered suffering, and that for somebody who has passed away, is that what you really want to give them? So you really want to be thinking in terms, directing attention to what is a beautiful state of mind, what is a light and skillful state of mind, and trying to bring that kind of skillfulness and brightness and joy really to the heart. So that's think in terms of legacy, a legacy to leave for somebody. It's that kind of brightness and joy, and it's certainly in terms of Mettika. If we started getting very maudlin and sitting around and getting very morose, she would be completely disgusted. It wouldn't work. So it's a very fitting. But it is, I think, helpful to think in terms, as a human life, what do we, really it's not that much. We're not around that long as human beings on this planet, and what do we leave? And I think in terms of legacy, you try to leave something really good, something beautiful, something that is associated with virtue, with integrity, with generosity, with kindness. Those are appropriate legacies, and that's the kind of legacy that Mettika certainly left when we were sitting around talking at tea time before the meditation gathering, and that was what was coming up quite naturally. Those recollections and certainly the legacy that Mettika has left for us all is, say, this meditation hall. this residence that is able to now have monastics here and creating a presence in the Fort Bragg area, so that there's monks out walking in arms round every day, which is that's a real legacy. It's quite delightful, and that's the when one of the things that say the Buddha pointed to, what he called the heavenly messengers, the aging, sickness, death, and the sight of a religious seeker. Those are heavenly messengers. That's something that reminds us of the good, reminds us of the say the reality of truth. So that just that remembering the truth of old age. I mean, we're Mettika is not here now because she got old and sick and died. It's just an ordinary thing, and it's so easy to forget about it or not want to bother to think about it, and and certainly for myself, I'm not that much younger than Mettika, and so that following along, and that especially good for the young monks to be, everybody to be thinking of. But oftentimes it's when you're younger, you tend not to bother, not to think, why, life is so long, but once you start getting into the aging process is kicking in, time doesn't seem that extended anymore. It's a bit blurry, really. Sometimes it feels like it goes on forever, and sometimes just a snap like that. Oh, that was like I think back of, for me, when I first came here, that would have been 1997. Yeah, that's 26 years ago. Yeah, that's a fair chunk of time. And it doesn't seem that long ago that was, we're coming out here to on the invitation of the kind of the Buddhist group in the Fort Bragg and Mendocino, Casper area, and all of a sudden 26 years has gone by, this is my I've been ordained as a monk now for 50 years. 50 years, that's a long time. But I think, wow, that went by pretty quick. So it's just really helpful to reflect in terms, this is a heavenly messenger that is giving us the opportunity to reflect on what's really special, what's really refined, what's really actually what is divine in this human condition, and so to remember these natural processes of aging, sickness, death, but then the sight of a religious seeker, and that's say the legacy that Mettika is actually, despite all of her, or including all of her contributions and gifts that she gave. She's left a residence for monastics to be here and provide the site of a religious seeker for the community, and it's an incredible gift. It's something that is still very, very new here in the West, in America, but I think it's something that is it's something universal in the human aspiration for some kind of meaning in life, or some kind of a spiritual purpose, without making it into something really woo-woo or whatever. But that it's really fundamental to the human condition, that we recognize and aspire to something more than getting up and working and living and dying. There's this feeling, this intuition that there is something more. There is something that is incredibly meaningful to this human condition, and it's important to have the opportunity to nurture that for ourselves, and to encourage it in others. So that's what this space is dedicated to, and that people are here. It's something really, really heartening, and so just to acknowledge that or recognize that, and to reflect in terms of because one of the reasons for the Buddha himself, again, one of the contemplations that we do on a regular basis is that contemplation of death as a meditation subject. Not shying away from it, and then contemplate, because it brings up a sense of spiritual urgency, and that's important, because as it's just, again, in thinking in terms of human conditioning, it's just so easy to become complacent, or the old adage, why do today what I can put off till tomorrow? So it's just a deeply ingrained habit, and that sense. Well, there's always another day. There's more time, and you end up putting stuff off, and that sense of complacency. So it's to consciously reflect and to lift that up in the mind, not to be morose, or not to be morbid about anything, or to work at making oneself depressed. It's an encouragement that time is short, and the opportunity is here, and what better time than this present moment to do what is truly good. And that's it seems so simple, but it's important that we encourage ourselves to do it and to recollect that. And that's the using our reflective capacity. This is something in our practice, or our training, or our living a skillful life, learning how to use the mind skillfully, to use thought skillfully. Because oftentimes when we think of meditation, so many people think that, to be peaceful, then I've got to stop thinking. And that just doesn't work. What one needs to do is learn how to skillfully direct the thinking process so that it becomes more settled and clear and steady, and then it becomes there's a possibility of inclining to stillness because it's satisfying, rather than trying to force the mind to be still or force the mind to not think. That just creates tension and tightness, and because it kind of works on an axiom, in the sense of the whole purpose of the Buddha's teaching is for the ending of suffering, and then you kind of think, well, I think, therefore I suffer. So if I didn't think, then I wouldn't suffer, which is maybe logically true, but it doesn't actually work in reality. One needs to learn how to direct attention to what helps the mind to... The sense of fullness is really important, in the sense of just that recollection of goodness, so that contemplating, just say like today, we're contemplating Mettika's good qualities that she exemplified and embodied, and that stirs us up to to emulate or appreciate, to be delighted in those good qualities, and that is so it's important that we learn how to direct attention to, say, when noticing other people's good qualities, noticing our own good qualities, and that is sometimes that's a harder task, and we easily forget, because it's such an ingrained habit to get caught in our recollections of our mistakes or our faults or our flaws. And it's not that they're not there, but it's recognizing that along with that there are other good qualities, and how do we nurture the goodness rather than obsess over the unskillful, or how do we create a sense of urgency in order to relinquish the unskillful, to let it go, to not get caught and trapped by our unskillful qualities. And we all have, we all have greed, hatred, delusion. I mean, that's the, if we didn't have greed, hatred, delusion, we wouldn't have been born. It's just that easy. So it's very, very normal, very ordinary for that to be the reality. But then we also, and this is fundamental to the Buddha's teaching, is that we have the ability to recognize, reflect, and to develop the the understanding of that, and to free the mind from our unskillful qualities, to dwell in the skillful, the bright, the radiant. I mean, it's because that is possible. And one of the idioms that the Buddha uses is that the defilements or the unskillful tendencies that we do have are adventitious defilements. They come and go. They're visitors, and it's because they're visitors, one, that the mind gets stained, but it's also because they're visitors that we can free the mind from that. We can make choices. And so it's like learning to make skillful choices, and to be able to nurture and look after those visiting qualities that are actually an antidote to those unskillful tendencies. And a lot of it is just, what do we feed? What do we nurture? What do we develop? What do we care for and look after? So it's just seeing the value in looking after kindness, generosity, integrity, that those fundamental roots of goodness, and they blossom in states of stability and clarity. It's in their very nature. That's one of the from the Buddha's perspective, and the way that the Buddha looked at the nature of mind and the nature of action. He used these. There's two words in the scriptural language that are really good to remember: kusala and akusala. And kusala is the wholesome, skillful, beneficial, the good, and akusala is its opposite. That's which is unwholesome, unskillful, unbeneficial, definitely not good, and something that. But it has a particular manifestation, in the sense that how it manifests is on a emotional level. It's associated with the qualities of a wholesome state of mind is also a happy state of mind. There's a sense of happiness, gladness, whatever the emotional tone is, and it's the whole range. But it's on that on the sense of well-being and happiness. It's also in terms of the state of mind. It's what is the wholesome is associated with clarity. The mind is clear. It's not agitated. It's not dull. It's not restless. It's like in the 5 hindrances to meditation or into mental development. You've got sensual desire, which is, but all of them are unwholesome tendencies, or unwholesome. And sensual desire, anger, okay, that's a bit, sort of say lust, greed, anger, ill will. Those are clearly, okay, that's say, morally not so good. But then the obstacles or hindrances like sleepiness and drowsiness. I mean, that's not immoral. But it is unwholesome or unskillful, unbeneficial, because of it's not clear, it's not bright, and the possibility of the mind, capacity of the mind that we want to be fostering is of that brightness, that steadiness. The same as like restlessness or doubt. Those are called obstacles, hindrances, and they are akusala. But it's because they're taking the mind away from its inherent peacefulness and clarity. And so that we want to be doing whatever we can that is nurturing and feeding the qualities that support the wholesome, support the skillful, because they lead to happiness and well-being. They lead to peace and clarity. They also lead to it's like on a cognitive level. There's a certain clarity of thought process and certain intelligence that is, it's not muddled, it's not confused, and then on a karmic level, it results in more good. It results in the same way that the akusala leads to, on a karmic level, leads to more unskillfulness. It complicates things. So that just the attention to the skillful, attention to the wholesome, is not just a sort of kind of a wishful thinking or a hope that somehow I'm going to be reborn in some place where I have more wholesomeness. It's what we work on, and it's what we cultivate. It's what we develop, and when we pay attention to that, then we experience the fruits for ourselves. We experience the results ourselves. We see, and we can measure that. We can see that. We can feel that. So it's just something that we need to keep reminding ourselves of, and that's why using the thought process to encourage ourselves, using the thought process to not be complacent, not get distracted. There's so many distractions. I mean, in the human realm, there has always been distractions. 2,500 years ago, in the Buddha's time, there was plenty of distractions, and the Buddha taught ways to overcome them. 2,500 years on, modern Western culture, I think we've kind of perfected distractions. So it's just really being conscious in how do we keep reminding ourselves of what's of value, what's a useful purpose to be directing our effort, our energy, our time, and not getting caught up in either regrets or remorse, doubt and confusion, irritation and aversion, chasing after fantasies of desire. Those are all things that are normal, ordinary in the human condition, but they don't increase our wholesome qualities. They don't increase our well-being. They don't increase our peace. So we can do that. So that it's just important that we remind ourselves, remember that, and then draw close to those who are practicing. So this legacy that Mettika has left for us to use this place as a place of practice, and so as to delight in the legacy of and memory of Mettika, especially on this day today. And I'll give that as a reflection this evening.
Andamayang Dhamma Kataya Sadhu Kalang Tatamase Sadhu 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 Anumodami.
So if anyone has any questions, I may or may not have an answer. Yes.
This isn't really a question, but I just wanted to say that today is also Yom Kippur, and it's the Jewish holiday that's very important.
Yes.
And Mettika actually was a member of the Jewish community here.
Yes. Yes.
And I actually, a year ago, on the Yom Kippur, they read the names of the people who have passed away.
Right.
And that's how I heard that Mettika had passed away. Was there, and then I got in touch with folks from the Bible and found out. But I just thought that I would bring that up because it seems auspicious and should be mentioned.
Yes, absolutely.
At Rosh Hashanah, they have where they invite people from the community to share stories and wisdom and be presenters. And Mettika presented one year, and with her signature humor.
Yes, I'll bet.
And anyway, I thought I would bring that up.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yes, because it was, she was a solid Buddhist practitioner who also was a contributing member of the Jewish community here. So,
and I find there's something about the Dalai Lama talks about this, about not rejecting what you were grown, what
your religion or birth.
Heritage,
yeah, he was.
But to see it in a and when I must say that one of the reasons I turned away from actively engaging in Jewish practice was because all of this talk about God being a man and and asking him, please forgive me, and all, I never really believed in an intercessionary kind of a God.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I liked about Buddhism, but because it wasn't asking some divine being to do this or that for me.
Yeah.
But with a more, I don't know if you call it modern interpretation or more nuanced interpretation, which they do espouse in this local community. Rabbi Margaret Holub is very, and other people maybe know her. She's very inclusive.
Oh, okay, great.
Of all kinds of belief and incorporates. Really, if you substitute the words of, light or presence or creation for the word God, then a lot of it is very similar.
It makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Yes, Maggie.
I was appreciating what you said about grief. And also, very aware for myself that at times of deep grief, losing my partner a number of years ago, and then more recently my brother and my mother, and having a number of friends who died and or who are very ill, I acknowledge that I would not say, it's not that I don't have tremendous appreciation and deep gratitude for all those people and their gifts. However, I certainly have beaten my breast, so to speak, and failed And I just wondered if you could say a little more about that, because I don't know, as a regular human being, how one remains entirely skillful at times of such heartbreak.
Well, I think one of the things is you've got to allow your heart to just break.
Mm-hmm.
and that's that takes a lot of kind of courage to do, and to be able to acknowledge that feeling of loss and feeling of it's not that it's not there, but then it's also, how do I heal from that? So that it's that sense of being, well, what's going, and you see the heart really break open is this sense of loss, feeling of missing. Something's missing. And well, what is going to fill that? And of course, we tend to want our memory of that person, or our appreciation of their presence, or their particular quality, and then I think it's much more how do I rise beyond that and fill that with a sense of appreciation of goodness, but then also of the natural process of this. We have, as much as we grieve the loss, we can't do anything to stop it. And so that sense of acceptance of the reality of natural cycles of and then within those natural cycles of birth and death, there's the possibility of tremendous peace and joy. Of this is the way things truly are, and when we are able to expand our perception, because usually what the pain of loss is really a personal one, and you don't want to try to gloss that over or try to idealize your way out of it. That really does not work. But because it's because there's something that is so irritating about spiritual, people spouting spiritual panaceas for everything. But the willingness to allow the heart to really break, but to be willing to, you see it's broken, what do we fill that break with? And rather than trying to fill it with that person or that quality or that situation, we can fill it with something a lot more bright and nurturing. Beth.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate this a lot because, the heart does break open. There's a timing, though. There's a whole timing about that that's going to be different for different people.
Different people are going to. I mean, there's no fixed template, and if you try to force yourself into a fixed template, that's a great way to create more suffering out of a situation that's already suffering. So that's why I said, like, idealism. That's one of the beauties of death and loss, is that you can't idealize your way out of it. It's like reality is right there, just staring you in the face, and you've really got to work at it to gloss it over or cover it over somehow. So you have to turn to it.
And in that breaking, like the healing, so you're talking about healing.
Yeah.
Breaking feels like the immediate sort of response and whole sort of territory of that pain.
Yeah.
That the healing's like after.
Yeah, the healing is what comes after, and that's what. Yeah, and it's not it's a gradual. It's a gradual healing. It's a gradual process. And different people respond in different ways.
Question?
Yes.
Maybe touchy, possibly, but like, so I grew up very materialist, scientific materialist.
Yeah.
Where like the ending of the body, I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
But then, kind of really taking on the teachings of the Buddha and our lineage.
Yeah.
It's like this, especially in that Buddhist culture you were talking about earlier, just time.
Right.
Just it recontextualizes death completely.
Yes, this is true. It's sort of part of a continuum.
Right. So I was wondering if you could reflect on how that might inform our contemplations around grief or dedication or marriage.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's something that I forget. In the sense that I've just been steeped in this for so long, and then lived in a Buddhist culture for so long that your concept. I have a really hard time conceiving of a materialistic solution to this existence. Yes, but definitely it's a fundamental part of right view, and really part of that definition of how the Buddha defines right view. In that there is this life, there is this world, there is the next world, there is a world to come, there is actions and the results of actions, so that our actions do bear fruit, they follow us around, and I think that's probably one of the main ways to access that, is through the recognition of, just on a really fundamental basis, what we do bears fruit, and when we and there's no reason to think, as you pay attention to that more and more, and seeing that whatever we do, and it's not in a, and again, not in a materialistic way of, if I give that, I get that back, sort of thing. But it's like the way Ajahn Chah talked about it, because there is an idiom, actually comes from the Dhammapada. And I don't even know what it is in English. I've just, it's been stuck in my mind in Thai for so long. But that sense of, in doing good, one receives good, and doing evil, one receives evil. But Ajahn Chah says, rather than thinking of it in terms of doing something good, you get something good back. It's in doing something good, you get goodness back. It's the goodness that accumulates, and in a similar way that would say in doing that which is unskillful, we accumulate the unskillfulness in our heart stream, mind stream, and so that as we contemplate that, and you see it over and over. Oh yeah, that's we can reinforce what is really skillful, and we can draw, and then we tend to appreciate and draw close to it, and it becomes more of a habit, but it's really skillful, and in just seeing that in this life, and then to think in terms of future lives. That is, you can't find a suitable ironclad logical solution. It's something that is taken on faith, but the Buddha really never praised blind faith in anything, and so then the heeding the words of the wise and saying, well, these are these wise people, and these people, and of course nowadays there actually are Western studies that have been done trying to track the say rebirth, and that is I think there's a major studies gone out of the University of Virginia over the last, I think, 40 years, and so there is a huge body of kind of stories, anecdotal stories, and then of course in a culture that is institutionalized, as say like a Tibetan culture, then it's like in Thailand, it's not institutionalized, but it is a part of the custom and cultural perspective, so that it's just is accepted. But it is there are instances of people being able to remember their past lives. So then you said, well, an exception to an assumption is also enough to start thinking, well, that maybe there is more to this than not. So it's ways of looking at things that are useful, because the materialist view is ends up being what's the point, because in the end you just die, so, and you're gone, and that's it. And certainly from a Buddhist perspective, no, there's a continuity there that we inherit and that's one of those recollections that the Buddha gave to recollect on a daily basis. I'm of the nature to age, I've not gone beyond aging. I have the nature to sicken, I've not gone beyond sickness. I'm of the nature to die, I've not gone beyond dying. All that is mine, beloved and pleasing, will become otherwise, will become separated from me. Reflection, recollection of impermanence. And then I am the owner of my kamma, my actions. I'm the heir to my actions, born of my actions, related to my actions, abide supported by my actions. Whatever actions I shall do, for good or for ill, of that I will be the heir. So this fundamental law of the how karma, all that karma is actually the verb. Karma is the verb to do. You do something, it has a result. Thank you. Okay, should we wrap it up?